So these are the first generation end clips, and what you see here is a difference in how they look. So this is how they kind of started off, and they worked, but they didn't work on every type of window we were working on. So we had to sculpt and mold, and we eventually come up with, this was probably the best sort of shape and dimensions that it would work overall on most windows. And every time you change something, I mean, that takes a long time to change that to that when it comes to molds, because it's a very fine, slow process. And it's basically, a lot of it was just trial and error, trying something, and if it failed, then you have to go back and rethink and reschedule everything. And every action, sooner or later, gives you a reaction, and the reaction quite often is a negative. So every time you try to change something to be a positive, you end up running into a negative most of the time later down the track. So you can't probably see all of this window, but we really want to be focusing on this part here. And let me just double check, we want to really focus on that middle part here, so I want to bring that angle up. So as a rule, and there's always exceptions to the rule, but as a rule, I promote the message of choose the right size squeegee for the right size pane of glass. And because I carry a load of different size squeegees around, that generally will always mean that I will get the windows cleaned quicker, more efficiently and effectively than if I was just using one or two size squeegees fits all, because we've all got different size panes of glass, especially in the UK, to deal with. Right, so I'm going to let that just drip there, because that's what I want to focus on. Because I took a load of solution off all at the same time, the negative of having a minimum move with lots of solution coming off at once, and you've got a divider here, the negative is, because there's so much solution coming off, although this is a very consistent solution, it's still dripping, because it's, you know, it's all piled up on top of each other. It was spread evenly over the glass, and then it's all come down, all compacted, so there's some drips. Now if I was to do the window under here and I squeegee, maybe I wasn't paying too much attention, I've got the chance of having it leak and go back over the pane of glass. So you've got to really double check that you're not going to be dripping under the frame where you've just squeegeed above. Now, the reaction of carrying lots of squeegees, because I carry lots of squeegees around on my work belt, here we go, that's what I carry. Most people would say that's overkill, and you're absolutely right, but I like to overkill my work. So, you know, I'm in no doubt in my mind that all the guys around on the areas that I work in, when it comes to squeegeeing, 2, 3 or more times quicker than the average squeegee blader, that's not a problem to be that much more efficient and effective. But the reaction of being that efficient and effective by carrying all these tools, because I don't just carry these tools, I carry other tools around with me as well, this all gets in the way at times, and you can't squeeze through gaps, and you know, you have to readjust everything and sort out your belt quite often. That's the reaction of the action of having to clean windows more efficiently and effectively. So that's the downfall of having lots of different tools for your work. Now, many window cleaners will say, I can't carry all those tools. I don't blame you, because it took a while for me to get to using all these tools. I've been doing it for a long time, like over 10 years, but it was awkward to begin with, and sometimes it still is awkward now. But a lot of window cleaners, they will use these tools, but they only use 1 or 2 sizes. So the downfall of having 1 or 2 sizes is you're limiting yourself with how much work you can get done, and how much travel you have to make. But the upside is you don't have to carry a load of tools around with you. And when it comes to a scenario like this, sometimes it's more beneficial to make more moves on a window like this, because the least of your problems should be the zero detailing. What you should really be focusing on is all the other things that add up to making you a really efficient and effective window cleaner, by using lots of different other time-saving ideas with which goes along with your zero detailing. So what you find here now is I've controlled that solution a lot easier and a lot better, and there's less of a clump of solution to deal with. So I don't really have to stop what I'm doing and do this and then go back to squeegee, because I've controlled, and because I'm using two hands. Obviously, unless you're working off a ladder, two hands on the ground is the number one rule you should be doing. Number two rule would be zero detailing. So because I've got this solution, I can control it easier, so I'm not taking as much solution off all at once. I'm able to control it, although I made a little mistake there where it's just bounced back up. So quite often people will say, you know, that's perfection. You can always achieve a perfection, but you know, if you're aiming for perfection, that's more of a truthful statement. You can get perfect results, but not every time. But if you're aiming all the time for perfect results with your tool and technique and handwork and pole work, then although sometimes you are going to make mistakes and things are going to happen that's going to make you have to stop and just redo the last part, let's say on a closeout or something, if you're just hitting the nail on the head 9.99% of the time, or 9.9 times out of 10, you're getting perfection, and on the odd chance you don't get perfection, you think of all the window cleaners around the world that never get perfection. Every time they touch that pane of glass and they're squeegeeing, whatever tool they're using, whatever technique they're using, whatever soap solution they're using, doesn't matter if it's one-handed or two-handed or straight pulls on the pole or whatever, they're never getting perfection. It's never achievable. So just take the things that people like me and Trubman suggest you do, as in, you know, use the right size tool for the right size pane of glass. And that's not always applicable for some window cleaners. We just want to be the best that we can be, and because we've got the experience and the knowledge of working at the highest sort of possibilities of traditional window cleaning, you know, we obviously want to talk about the stuff that we often do, and you know, that's not always suitable for window cleaners that don't want to take things too far. But if you're always aiming for perfection and you're using these tools to get these perfect results 9.99% at a time, or 9 out of 10 out of the time, whatever percentage or out of 10 you want to look at it at, you are always going to get better results, working quicker, working more effective. Just look at the things that, and take the things that we say, me and Trubman, take the knowledge, what you want to take, and then do however you want to do it. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you're all working for yourself. You're not working for me. If you were working for me or you're working for Trubman, would probably say, you know, would rather you work like us, because we're actually going to get more work done if you work like us than if you're just going to rely on one or two size squeegees and just do one or two different types of technique all the time. The only problem is when you're using, this isn't like a reaction of the action of using one or two size squeegees fits all. You're going to wear your rubbers out much quicker, and if you spread the load out over 3 or 4 or more size squeegees. So just take what we say as a rule of thumb, but get to a point where you're just making really good results every time you're blading, and you can work your own system and way of working out yourself, and whatever you feel happy doing, stick to it, because all you're doing is comparing yourself to how you were working before, or against the people who are working in your areas. And 100% of the time, if you're working with these squeegees and these methods and these sort of ideas, 100% of the time, you're always going to be a better performing, quicker, more efficient and effective window cleaner. But whatever you do, whatever actions you do, there's always a reaction sooner or later down the road, let's say, of whatever you're doing. Just like there was a reaction of every time we changed the end clips, and we found, okay, so we fixed this problem, but now we've got this other problem in this other part of the squeegee process, and it was just trial and error. You know, we got perfect results in one place, and it was messing up in other places. And overall, that was the sort of shape that we come up with. And then they come up with the 2.0s, and then they come up with the 3.0s. And I've not done any videos on the 3.0, so I didn't think it was that worthwhile talking about. But the people who, I mean, that's what another question that I get asked very often. What do you think of the 3.0s? The benefit of the 3.0s is they work better than the 2.0s overall. They hold the rubber tighter. They don't come off like the first end clips. But the best part about it is, when we went back to the dimensions and the downward pressure back to the 1.0, because we all knew, the people who could use these tools the best, knew that the extra downward pressure it offered compared to the 2.0s, which was less, or it was more flat basically, overall it does a better job. And over the years, or 6 or 7 years the tool's been out, the window cleaners have generally improved and got better and better at what they do with these squeegees, and they can't tell the difference, because they don't need to worry about bending end clips, and because they don't put the soap in the water, or they don't rely on bottles like this to perform each and every day. They've took their window cleaning really to the next level, and obviously the 3.0s tick more boxes overall than the 2.0s, but then the 1.0 problem was the end clips just came off like that. So the 3.0s don't come off, but they are shaped more like the 1.0s, because the 1.0s actually did a better job than the 2.0s. Every action has a reaction.